Okay, so in this video we are going to talk about Kubernetes API server. The Kubernetes API server is central to the operation of the Kubernetes cluster. All calls, both internal and external traffic, are handled via this agent. As you can see in this diagram, that nodes, etcd cluster, kubectl client, all are connected to each other via Kube API server. It is also known as heart of the Kubernetes cluster. All actions are accepted and validated via this agent, and it is the only connection to the etcd database. It validates and configures data for API objects and serves REST operations. As a result, it acts as a master process for the entire cluster and acts as a front end of the cluster's shared state. Starting as an alpha version from v1.16, it has an ability to separate user-initiated traffic from server-initiated traffic. Until these features are developed, most network plugin commonly, that is, mix their traffic, which has performance, capacity, and security ramifications. It is responsible for sending watch events to different components of the cluster, which we have seen in our earlier video when I was discussing about etcd cluster. Okay. So this is the documentation and configuration, command line configuration of Kube API server, where you'll find different tags and different options available to configure your Kubernetes API server. You require this, and you should have a knowledge about these because when you try to create your own cluster or when you try to modify something, and you should have a knowledge about what is happening there when you write any particular flag or when you write any options, right? So because we are going to create our own cluster from scratch by following the Kelsey Hightower's Kubernetes, the hardware guideline, we need this to understand that how each component of Kubernetes are connected and what is the meaning of each line that is written in that cluster. So for this, I would suggest you to go through this complete documentation once, that is the Kube API server command line reference. I'll provide the link in the description below. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Kubernetes Controller Manager. The Kube Controller Manager is a core control loop daemon which interacts with the Kube API server to determine the state of the cluster. If the state does not match the manager, it will contact the necessary controller to match the desired states. There are several controllers in use, such as endpoints, namespace controller, replication controller, deployment controller, job controller, etc. The full list has been expanded as Kubernetes has matured. And you can also create your own controller, means your own custom controller. That is also sometimes known as operator. So you can extend the Kubernetes features based on your requirement. There is a service controller that watches the manager service, a deployment controller that watches the manager deployment, and so on. Each controller has some specific functionality, and it is based on the resource that it manages. So in the diagram, you can see that this is the Kube API server, and below we have a controller manager. Inside controller manager, we have lots of controllers. As you can see, there are service controller, deployment controller, daemon set controllers, job controller. There are almost 30 controllers or even more present in the Kube Controller Manager, and each have some specific tasks. Like the service controller is responsible for managing this service endpoint, right? The service resource that is created in the API server. The deployment controller is responsible for creating the deployment, and as you have seen that once a deployment is created, it creates a replica set, and then the replica controller starts its work to create the replication. And then it creates the pods. And there is a daemon set controller which controls the daemon set resource, job controller which controls the job resource. In a highly available environment, when there are multiple controller manager, a leader is elected and it is only responsible for managing resources. It continuously sends heartbeat to the endpoint resource. In case of leader failure, one of the other controller manager is selected as a leader. Again, if you see in the diagram, we have three controller managers. and there is an endpoint. And all of these controller manager are connected with the endpoints. One of them has been selected as leader. In our case, controller 3 has been selected as a leader. And it is responsible for managing job, service, daemon-side deployment, and other resources of Kubernetes. Once it fails, when this goes down due to some unfortunate situations, then there is an election. Means as it goes down, it will stop sending the heartbeat to the endpoint, and the endpoint will, and these two controllers are continuously keeping a watch on this endpoint. So as soon as they stop sending the heartbeat, they started becoming a candidate for election, and one of them becomes and one of them are elected as a leader, and then again this one or this one becomes a leader, and then they started managing these services resources, Kubernetes API resources. So when I say current state and desired state, I mean the spec and status in our resource definition. A spec is the desired state of the resource. Example, suppose I want to create 3 replicas, a template of a pod. So that is what we write in a spec, right? Which we configure in our resource. The status field, which is generated by Kubernetes, and you don't see it in your resource definition. So example of that is how many controllers are running. So it contains information about the current status of the system. Control loop always tries to bring the observed state equivalent to the desired state. So that and it does that using the reconciliation loop. So that was an overview of controller manager and what controller manager does. Like Kube API server, you can see these. There are lots of different configuration for Kubernetes controller manager, which you can find in the documentation, and which will help you to understand the controller manager in depth. And we are going to again configure that manually in our lab, which we are going to do after these few lectures. In this video, we are going to discuss about Kubernetes Scheduler. Kubernetes Scheduler is part of the control plane. The kube scheduler is a binary that uses an algorithm to determine which node will host a pod of container. The scheduler will try to view available resources such as volumes to bind, and then try to retry to deploy the pod based on availability and success. There are several ways you can affect the algorithm, or a custom scheduler would be used instead. You can also bind a pod to a particular node, though the pod may remain in a pending state due to other settings. One of the first setting referenced, if the pod can be deployed within the container, it can be restricted, right? One of the first settings referenced is if the pod can be deployed within the container quota restrictions. If so, then the taint and tolerance and labels of the pods are used along with those of the nodes to determine the proper placement of the pod on the particular node. So let me show you a code snippet of how a scheduler looks like. This is a kube scheduler code that I picked up from the GitHub, means Kubernetes GitHub documentation. And if you search for binding, means how that binding works, I'm not going to discuss the code. I'm just giving you a glimpse of how it works. It's a little bit complicated to determine what's written in the code unless you know the Go programming. So what I'll be showing you here is bind a function, right? So this bind function binds a pod to a given node defined in a binding object. And this is how a function works. So it actually, after the end of the function, this defer will run, and the function starts with a time dot now that the binding started at present time, and then it extends the binding. Means this is the function, scheduler function, and it assigns the particular node, right? If the node is if the binding is successful, it returns null, and otherwise it returns an error which is cached in the particular function that calls the bind function. So this is how it works, and it really you can customize it according to your needs, means how you want the pod to be scheduled and whatever functions you want. So this was a glimpse of Kube Scheduler, and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.